Hey, biscuits. Are you ready for a homeschool talk? Woohoo! Okay, I love talking about homeschool. I was unschooled as a kid, and so trying to pick out my kid's education is a tricky thing because I've really been unsure of what to do for my son as he has hit second grade now and really trying to decide what to do with his education. My son is on the neurodivergent spectrum, and so he has a lot of delays and just extra needs for extra help and extra things, and it can be a little bit trickier of a decision for what to do. So we decided this fall when we made our move to try enrolling him in public school full-time, which we've never done before, and it's been a really big learning curve for both of us. And we're trying to make the decision now, and we're going to make the decision over the holiday break of, does my son want to stick with public school, or would he rather go back to homeschooling in one form or the other? And it's a really hard decision to make because there's just a whole family dynamic that goes into that shifts when we're doing homeschool, and really trying to make sure that his needs are met. So these are things I have noticed for the first time being in the public school system as a parent. I've never been as a kid, so it's totally different perspective for me of trying to figure out what the differences are. So I've noticed a big difference between creative thinking versus trying to fit in. Public school seems much more about molding the group to be cohesive and fit in. Homeschooling seems much more focused on creative thinking, outside the box dynamics, and non-traditional ways of approaching things. And I don't think one is worse than the other per se. I've been surprised how different it is and the difference I've seen in my son for how he approaches things. Another thing I've noticed is, I'm looking down at my notes just so I remember, rule following versus rule creating. So homeschool, I feel like we do a lot of kid-led learning. What are they interested in? What are their questions for the day? They need to figure out good questions so that they can get answers they actually want, versus following rules set out by other people for how they learn. And I've noticed a real decrease in the questions my son asks as he's gone to school. Like, he's not having these inquisitive big questions that he had homeschooling. It's shrunk down to little things to pass tests and stuff, which is maybe good because maybe that's what you need to go through life. Homeschool, I noticed, really expanded what he was talking about and interested in. Oh, this is very true. A gentle, slower life versus a busy time without time to be bored. So homeschool really allowed my son time to be bored. And that was one of my concerns, and why I tried enrolling him in this public school, is to see maybe he was having too much board time. Maybe that was affecting his mood, because he's a very moody child. He has a lot of anger and impulse control issues. And I thought, well, maybe there's just not enough stimuli that he's getting in homeschool, because homeschool inherently has a belief of letting children be bored so that they can discover their interests, discover what questions to ask, discover their own learning style. And we help them along as guides and teachers, right? But we don't force anything with homeschool. Whereas public school seems to have much more busy. Let's keep the kids active and going. So they don't have the time to be bored and ask big questions, but so that they are good at falling in line and being as a cohesive group. I do feel, I wrote this note down, I feel like there's a big what you should be learning in school, whereas homeschool is much more, what do you want to learn? It's that kid-led learning kind of concept. And that can be good for a kid like my son, who does struggle with self-led learning a little bit, because he just struggles with authority figures telling him what to do. And so if it's all on him, but then developmentally, is he ready to pick out what he wants to learn? It can be a tricky balance. That is a difference I have seen a lot of in the short months that we've been doing public school and making this decision. Oh, this is fascinating. Okay, the kids are way more world weary. We're talking about 6 and 7-year-olds here and a couple 8-year-olds. Whereas homeschoolers are shy and a little gentler and softer. I'm amazed how hardcore these kids are. My son has been, mind you, he's in second grade, punched in the face, stomped on the ground. Another little 6-year-old showed him that he knew what flipping people off was and thought this was funny. He's heard cuss words. He's been threatened. And this is supposed to be a I was shocked, and this is apparently just par for the course. This is just how kids are in public school. Yeah, his school is near a high school, and they just got shut down for what's it called, swatting, like when somebody calls in a fake threat and the police have to come. So it's a much more real world. I feel like you're very in the real world when you're in public school, whereas homeschool is a much gentler, little slow entrance into the world. And I don't know which is better. I'm not sure. I lean towards the more magical, gentle childhood, but maybe that is just because that was more my childhood was, self-led learning kind of. I mean, I wouldn't do my style of learning that I was taught as a kid because it was a little bit too loose. But definitely, boy, the kids are world weary and surprisingly aggressive in public school. Who knew? The parents too. Oh my God, the behavior I've seen in the pickup line. Biscuits, I'm going to do a spill the tea chatter watter with you later, because I've seen some crazy stuff in the pickup line. I'm like, you people are animals. What is going on? It's insanity. I would absolutely love to hear from you, Biscuits, in the comments. How did you make the decision to homeschool versus public school? It is something that we're really struggling with, and we struggled with really the whole last year. We finally decided that there were so many attitude problems that I was having with my son that we were just going to try public school, because he's got to be on his best behavior there, right? Because it's not a safe space. And the dilemma we've had with that is, then when he comes home, it's like even worse because he's decompressing for the day. So I would love to hear from you, Biscuits, what your experience has been with that, because boy, we are looking for a solution, and I don't quite know what it is yet. But these are things I have noticed with homeschool versus public school, and it's been really eye-opening in good and bad ways, the differences. Okay, Biscuits, I'll see you over on Instagram, and I'll let you know what we decide on the homeschool thing. Who knows? Maybe public school is what it's at for my son, or maybe it's just not working. So we shall see. Love y'all. Thanks for leaving comments down below, and always hitting the like button.